Some say Chinese is one of the most difficult languages in the world, and learning it is almost impossible.
So learning Chinese, the most difficult thing.
非常非常非常非常非常难
So I'm sort of tone deaf. I can't really hear them.
I think the cultural mindset is the biggest complication for
The
us.
grammar.
知吃思诗都很难
It's just complicated so much.
Only because you're not learning it in the right way. Why not try Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
你好，欢迎收听随行汉语 Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin with Tony here in the studio. Hi, Tony.
Niuniu, what's happening? I'm looking forward to taking away some Chinese today, hopefully.
Oh, I'm looking forward to give you some Chinese to take away as always. And you know, there are different ways to take something away. You can read a book, you can watch a movie, you can listen to this really cool podcast show called Takeaway Chinese, or even be the anchor, the host of it, and, you know, having fun creating it. But I have to say, recently, listening to things and taking things away started to be my thing. Sure. I listen to a lot of different audio content. I listen to podcasts, of course. I listen to radio in a way that, you know, I can just turn it on and ignore the outside world and getting my mind into the world created by the voice, and I'll simultaneously do some house chore or things.
Something that quarantining helps out with a lot. If we're kind of home,
yeah, that's true as well.
You're kind of forced to explore things in a different way.
And of course, there's this trendy new product, audiobooks.
Audiobooks, right.
That is also a really good way to learn something and to at the same time, save some time, you know?
Yeah, and get a different narrative, a different perspective. Really cool. Audiobooks are something they've been around a while, but I think they're getting much more creative these days.
Yes, and audiobooks in Chinese would be 有声书.
有声书.
Yes, so we know 书 is book, and 有 is have, 声 is basically sound. So a book with sound, or a book in the form of voices, then that would be the book that's been narrated by someone. Read it out and you can listen to it. Instead of reading the books, you listening to the books.
Interesting. If I was creating this word, it would be 有听书.
有听书 can listen to books.
Right.
And that works as well. So 有声书, something that's been trendy, something that our organization is actually making as well. There are many audiobooks created or produced by CGT and radio as well. So yeah, this is a very interesting genre. So I have to ask, do you like audiobooks?
I am honestly, okay, I'm not really that into audiobooks, but depending on who the author is and the content, I could possibly be won over by some audiobooks in the near future. Yes.
You can. Okay, so today we're going to talk about audiobooks, 有声书, the pros, and I cannot really think of any cons, actually.
Definitely. I'll provide some for you if you don't know any.
Of course. So the pros and cons of listening to audiobooks instead of reading books. So, for our dear listeners, if you're interested in Chinese culture and you want to get a grip on the Chinese language, then this is the show for you. Stick with us for 30 minutes and you soon see the rewards. And for more fun Chinese learning, follow our Facebook page, Learn Chinese, to watch many fun videos and live streams. But now, let's provide you with some free Chinese for takeaway. Hi. 好久不见 Hi 你在叫我吗？不好意思，我在听东西。你在听音乐吗？不是，我在听《三体》，一本科幻小说。我也很喜欢《三体》，还看过它改编的电影。我反而觉得听 有声书更方便，不仅可以一心二用，还能让我有身临其境的感觉。
This conversation is a little bit, it's interesting because it could be that this person is trying to pick up somebody on the street and they don't know who they are. And it's like, long time no see, but it's like, I'm sorry, are you talking to me?
No,
I'm listening
they know
to something.
each other. And yeah, and it's not like an excuse. This person is really listening to something. And that is why they continue the conversation, after, taking off the earphones.
But if they really haven't seen each other in a long time, the response wouldn't be like, oh, are you talking to me? It's more like, oh, hey, wow, I haven't seen you in a long time. So that's why it seems like this could be like someone in the subway and you just say that because a lot of people open a conversation this way. They say, oh, long time no see. And it's like, have we met? I'm sorry. I haven't really. Oh, I'm sorry. What are you listening to? And then it's a way to like,
I
break
guess
the
that
ice.
is an angle to understanding it, but I still feel like the conversation afterwards is quite genuine, and it's like they're really
From there, it's pretty
right.
genuine.
So I feel like they know each other. It's not an excuse. The person is really listening to this book and drowning into the world created by the author, and ignoring the outside world. I can see that happening to me. All right, so let's take a look at the language side of it and then discuss the fun points about audiobooks.
All
right, so for the first sentence, Hi, 好久不见. Hi.
Why does they say hi twice? It sounds weird. Hi at the beginning, hi at the beginning. Okay, let me translate this first.
Okay.
Hi, long time no see. Hey, or hi again.
Yeah, I think it's because when you're talking to someone, you say, hi, haven't seen you for a long time. And this person, it feels like they didn't hear you. And you start waving and dragging your sound and maybe waving in front of their eyes, saying, hi, in a way like, are you looking at me? Do you see this? I'm talking to you. Something like that. That is why there are two highs in the sentence.
For you listeners out there, I'm hoping you can see the visual of Hong Lin trying to get my attention here.
Yeah, I'm waving my hands like crazy. So yes. So yeah, but this sentence
or ni hao could probably be at the end too, right?
Yeah, and I think one thing about language is that your tone and the way you say it is really important. So for the first hi, you're just genuinely saying hi. That's
hi, and
easy
that's the same
and casual.
In English.
Yes.
And then 好久不见. This is kind of like a set phrase.
A set phrase.
Like
好久.
long time no see.
Very long. 不 no, and 见 see, very long, haven't seen you for quite a while. And the second hi, on the other hand, is more like getting your attention. So instead of saying hi, short and simple again, you want to drag it and say, hi, seeing me, hello, getting one's attention. So a little bit different.
All right.
And the second sentence, 你在叫我吗？不好意思，我在听东西。
So this is hi, or oh, are you talking to me? Sorry, I was listening to something. Yeah.
Yes.
So 你在叫我. So 你在 is are you doing something,
Yes.
right? And then 叫我 is call me.
Call me, or
right? So are you calling me?
Or are you talking to me in this context?
Okay. And then 不好意思, I feel like this is also a set phrase saying excuse me or I apologize for something.
Yes.
Yeah. And then 我在 is I am, 听 listening, and then 东西 is something.
Something. So 我在听东西, I'm listening to something, or 我在看东西, I'm reading something or looking at something. So this something is more like you at that moment you do not want to, or you kind of feel like it's a little bit redundant to specify what you are concentrating on, and you want to just say, something.
Sure.
It's this kind of mentality happens in the Chinese context a lot. For example, you see your neighbor, they're leaving their homes, and you want to say hi, but it's a really short conversation. You exchange a really short conversation to show them that you're polite. So instead of snooping on what they're doing, you ask, you want to go out? And they're saying, yeah, I'm going out. So the conversation in itself means nothing. you see them going out and you're asking, are you going out? And they're saying, I'm going outside of their house.
Okay.
So in Chinese, you say 出去呀. So you're going outside, and they say, 我出去一下. I'm going out of my house for a while. So you feel like the conversation is meaningless in a way, just like this one, 我在听东西, I'm listening to something. Of course, you're listening to something, but the idea is that you show you care, and they kind of saying thank you in this way to say, thank you for caring. So meaningless conversation can sometimes be meaningful.
I didn't see this as meaningless at all. I just thought that it as, because I think that's normal. If you're trying to call or get someone's attention and they don't respond in the way that they should, is because they were occupied, right?
Yeah.
So
Also
it's just
as
like,
well.
Sorry, did you say something to me?
I'm listening to
something right now.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
So, 不好意思. Excuse me, 我在 I am doing this, 听东西 listening to something. 你在听音乐吗?
Were you listening to music? All right. And so 你猜 is like, are you doing? 听 listen. 音乐
Yes.
This is music.
Music, 音乐 music. Yes. 不是，我在听三体，一本科幻小说。
All right. So this is no. I was listening to a science fiction novel called The Three Body Problem.
Ooh, yeah.
So 不是 is normally just no, or
No.
it's not, right? 我猜 I am. 听 listening. 三体, and this is the title of that three body problem, right?
Yes, 三体. San is three, and 体 here is apparently the body entity, and the translation here is the three body problem.
Okay. And then we have 一般, and this looks like a quantity word, right?
Yes.
So one of something. And then 科幻小说. So 科幻 means science fiction.
Science fiction, so 科技幻想 or 科学幻想. So 科学 is science, 科学.
科学.
And 幻想 is basically imaginary. So 幻想 or illusion, but not in a bad way, in a neutral way.
So that's why I laughed, because it sounds like
幻想 is like you're
it's all in your head.
Yeah, it's all in your head. And the 科学幻想 would be science related, not real imaginary stuff. So science fiction, 科学幻想, and you shorten it into 科幻. And sci-fi, when it comes to sci-fi, it doesn't have to be a novel. It can also be a movie, be a series of TV shows.
Be a lot of things.
Be a lot of things. So 科学幻想, 科幻, and 小说.
小说, this is novel, yeah.
And 小说, the characters are just like small say. So remember it. If you're telling a story.
Small say.
Small say.
Exactly,
小说,
literally.
literally, novel. 小说, 科幻小说. 我也很喜欢三体, 还看过它改编的电影.
And this is, I like the book. I watched the film adaptation as well. So 我也 means I also. 很喜欢, very like.
Very like.
三体, and this is the title of that book, right?
还
看过. So this is
also watched. So we know 还 is also. And 看 here is to see, to watch,
right.
to read.
看 is, okay.
Yeah. And 过 means you've done this.
Okay.
So if you say
看了.
yes,
还看了. Can also say,
specifically,
right?
yes, you can also say 还看了.
Okay.
It works as well. But 看过 过 here serves the same function. You can say 看过 something, 看了 something, basically mean the same thing. But I feel like 看过 is a tiny little bit more official. So 看过. Remember it just as 看了.
All right. So,
And 他 is it.
他 is it or him or her, right?
Yes, but the Chinese character specify this one is it.
Okay.
改编.
改编. So 改编 means like adaptation.
Yes, or adapted to. So the verb version is the same here in Chinese. And 改 carries the meaning of change. So you can say 改错. So you change your wrongs. You correct yourself. 改. You can also say 改正. So 改 we know is change. 正 is straight or right. So you change it back to right. Again, it means to improve it, to change it back to what it should be.
Okay, to rectify it.
To rectify it, perfect. And 编 carries the meaning of come up with something. 改编. 改编. So together, you're changing it and you're redoing it a little bit so that it can adapt to a certain different kind of form. So when you have a book, you have a novel, and you want to make it a film, you can't really just take the film or make the film out of the book. You have to change the novel into a script. In that sense, you're changing and adapting it into another form. And that is where you want to use the word 改编.
改编.
Yes,
got
改编.
it. I've adapted some Pu Songling stories.
Oh, yes, you have.
Yes, 改编.
Uh-huh.
The 电影.
电影.
So this is a movie, right?
Movie, yes, 电影. 我反而觉得听有声书更方便.
And this is, I think it's more convenient to just listen to the audio book. So 我 obviously is I, 反而. This is on the other hand.
On the
right?
other hand, on the contrary, I feel like when you use the word 反而, you're suggesting that I'm going to go another direction. I don't agree with you completely, without directly saying I don't agree with you.
Okay.
So, yeah, you translated it perfectly. You said I, on the other hand, 反而觉得.
觉得, this is normally feel or think, right?
Yes.
And then 听 is here. And then 有声书 earlier, as you said, is a audio book.
Yes.
And then 更
More.
more, yeah.
Greater.
I was thinking more,
Yeah.
greater, something like that. And then 方便.
方便.
This is convenient.
Yes. So it's more convenient to do this. 不仅可以一心二用，还能让我有身临其境的感觉。
And this is, it allows me to do two things at once and gives me an immersed sense. I like this. Yeah, that's exactly what it does. So, 不仅,
不仅
this is like not only.
Yes, and you see 还 at the second half of the sentence. So you can say 不仅而且 not only but also. But you also can say 不仅还 so 不仅 not only 还 and. It's kind of like a sentence structure
Okay.
that you can use. So 不仅可以
可以, isn't that can?
It's can.
Right. 一心二用.
Yep.
So this looks like an expression.
You're totally right.
一 means one.
Uh-huh.
And then R means two. And yong, doesn't that mean like
Use. Yes,
right?
perfectly. So one heart to use.
Oh, Shin is heart.
Okay. You got it there. So,
One heart to use. Huh, okay.
right? It makes sense.
Kill two birds with one stone, I guess.
Not precisely.
Well, you know what I mean. Like,
I know what you mean.
Right,
And
right,
the
right.
thing is, in ancient China, people believed that instead of your brain, it's your heart that serves the function of helping you to think, to concentrate on doing things. And that is why 一心二用, one heart doing two things, would be doing two things at once. And also 一心一意, we've mentioned, one heart, one will. That's like concentrating on only one thing. So all these phrases and expressions and idioms related to or concerning thinking about something, doing something, concentrating on something, you would see the character 心 in it instead of 脑, which is your brain.
okay.
So 一心二用, one heart, two use, doing two things at one time.
Okay.
还能, 还 we've mentioned is and, 能
Nung is can.
Perfect.
Again. 让我 is allow me. 我有 mean have. 身临其境的.
Good. 身临其境. That's the idiom here.
Okay, so this means to like kind of immerse yourself in something, right?
Yes. So 身 is your 身体, so yourself. Sometimes when we talk about oneself or one person, we use the Chinese character 身 to refer to the body, the person. 临 is to be in a certain place, to arrive at a certain place and to be there. 其 is that, and 境 is environment. So 身临其境 would be your body be in that environment, be in that place we described. And it's saying that you're not actually there, but it feels like you are there. So like you said, an immersed feeling. 身临其境的感觉 feeling.
感觉 is feeling.
Yes. So 还能让我有身临其境的感觉 would be also makes me feel like I'm there when I'm actually not.
好.
So that's the conversation. Do you think we can give it a go?
I think so. Let's give it a shot.
Okay.
Hi, 好久不见. Hi.
你在叫我吗？不好意思，我在听东西。
你在听音乐吗？
不是，我在听《三体》，一本科幻小说。
我也很喜欢《三体》，还看过它改编的电影。
我反而觉得听有声书更方便，不仅可以一心二用，还能让我有身临其境的感觉。You're listening to Takeaway Chinese with myself, Niuniu and Tony. We would love to hear from you. Send us your thoughts via email to learnchinese@cri.com.cn. Coming up next, let's talk about the pros and cons, which I believe there isn't, of listening to audiobooks. Don't go away, so you will take some Chinese away. Welcome back to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin with Tony here in the studio. According to my very good friend Tony, there are some cons of listening to audiobooks. But for someone who is really sensitive to listening, on top, or let's say compared to reading, I am someone who has been a fan of listening to things when I was a kid. Actually, when I was in primary school, when I need to, remember and recite some passages or some poems, I would always listen to it several times, really many times, before I start trying to recite it myself. Because for me,
it's a clever tactic.
Yeah, because, people are different. Some people need to write things down to remember them.
Different kinds of learners.
But for me, I am always a listener. And sometimes if I cannot find the audio version of the things that I need to recite, I would even record it myself and listen to it so many times, and then I would find it much easier to remember. So, listening to things really, really my thing.
Sure, and I think that holds true for a lot of people, especially in kids. Kids learn really fast by singing songs.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And sometimes songs, it just gets ingrained in your mind for a lifetime.
I think when I was really young, I learned that I am a 听力敏感型.
听力
is listening skill or the listening ability.
Yeah.
And 敏感 is sensitive.
Okay.
型 is a type. So I am the type that is much more sensitive to voices, to sounds.
I think for me, it's more visual. Like when I write things down in my book or in my notes, I remember it better. If I don't write it down, then it's gone.
So I feel like
I should, right now, while we're doing this, I should be writing things down because it would help me remember it much more.
We are very different animals. And I think this day and
different
age...
entities, okay?
Different entities.
I'm not an animal. Don't know about you.
I feel like I'm very lucky living in this day and age because the audio product market out there is really thriving in recent years.
Sure.
There are so many different kinds on top of the traditional radio product. You've started to listen to podcasts. Podcasts are really good. I think most podcasts have this character of 身临其境. So allowing you to have this very immersive feeling.
Yeah.
Because if you're reading, of course, you can imagine things. You can create your own little world. But with voices, they can kind of create the ambient sound and the voice of the environment and giving you a little bit music to trick your imagination and to give you this more, I feel like, more 3D kind of imagination, but still leaving you some space that you can create for your own. You can still imagine the look of the main character for yourself instead of
there's a little bit of room, as you mentioned, for creativity in your own mind.
Yeah, compared to movies, they show you everything already, and you
have to take their rendition of it.
Right.
But yeah, books are probably the basic level, and so your imagination runs wild with books. So for some people, this is certainly the way to go.
Yeah.
They don't want anyone giving them certain sounds. Maybe in their mind, the main character had a deeper voice or a lighter voice or a more feminine appeal. And then when you hear the audio version of it, it doesn't match how you feel this person should sound. So it may not resonate with you very well. So it's really tough. Everybody, like as you mentioned, just with us, I like to write things down. You like to listen to things. There's so many different kinds of listeners out there.
Yeah, and also there are so many different kinds of books. Which is why I think podcasts or radio drama, we would say 广播剧.
广播剧.
Yes, so 剧 is basically a series of stories. We know 电视剧 is a TV series, right? And 广播剧 would be 广播 we know is radio. 广播, so 广播剧 is precisely radio drama. So the kind of storytelling in the sense or in the form of a radio show. So you would act with your voice. Something that Tony is actually really good at.
I do okay. I enjoy it. It's fun. I try to embody the character in the story, which can be a challenge for certain people. And that is probably my biggest issue with some of these docudramas is, some people hit the mark exactly, and then you have others that don't.
In Chinese, we have a fun saying, 外行看热闹，内行看门道. So we know 外 is outside, 内 is inside. So 外行 is more like people who do not really understand this industry. 看热闹, they're seeing things for the surface value of it. They're only seeing the liveliness of these things, and they're, just having fun with it. And 内行 is like a business insider. 看门道, they would look into the tricks, whether or not they're doing a good job, being a little bit too critical, because they are really good at doing that. You hear that guy?
She's calling me the very critical.
I'm just saying.
He's classifying people here.
You are a 内行. So I think it's a fun sentence, but yet it carries a lot of truth to it. And like we mentioned earlier, there are different kinds of books. For novels, the storytelling kind of books, a radio drama might work better. But for those books that are basically just knowledge sharing or a little bit towards lecture kind of books, I think audiobooks would be the best form for me. So I listen to it. I do not have to read it. And listening to it is sometimes even faster. And you can 一心二用. You can do some chore or take advantage of your commute time and listen to these audiobooks, 有声书. I'm still really impressed by the book that I finished last year, Brief Answers to the Big Questions, written by Stephen Hawking. The book was not narrated by him, but it didn't really affect me because it's just, like I said, knowledge-related books.
That any Joe Schmo could read to you, right?
Yeah, I don't really care about who's the narrator.
See, that's the difference between you and I, because I feel like I have to feel a connection to the person that's talking. Otherwise, it's like it's an irritant in my ear. It's like, why am I listening to this person? And then eventually I'll end up turning them down and start focusing. My mind will start wandering about other things. I have to really be drawn into the person and what they have to say, which is why I haven't purchased any audiobooks yet, but there was one that I was interested in, and it was called Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter.
Ooh.
Obviously, because I have this mindset of hustling and getting where I want to go and working really hard. But also it's narrated by the author. And there's this guy named 50 Cent. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but he's a very famous American rapper. And he pretty much started at the bottom. And somehow he's, he has his own filming company. He makes movies and TV shows, and he's a juggernaut in hip hop.
Wow.
So he went from rock bottom to like all the way to the top in one lifetime. And he shares that in this audiobook. And so it's kind of cool to hear it right from his voice. And so I think that's, for me, I would be able to focus and listen to actually what they have to say, as opposed to someone just reading lines off of a paper, which I can't stand.
I only have one quirk when it comes to audiobooks. I don't mind who's reading it, as long as their Chinese or English is great. As long as I'm not listening to any wrong pronunciations or wrong place to break the sentence. I think that's the thing. That's the thing. Just like when you were listening to radio drama and you feel like this person is being a bad actor, you can't stand. And for me, if this person is reading the Chinese wrong, I'm like, oh, why? It just no. And that's my thing. So we do have our things when it comes to listening to audiobooks.
Absolutely.
But I think the bottom line here is audiobook provides us with a different medium to ingest knowledge or to have fun in our free time.
Sure.
It's something that I personally really appreciate.
Yeah, me too. I'm still waiting for Arnold to release his modern encyclopedia of bodybuilding in his voice with his strong Austrian accent. That would be awesome.
Then you should definitely leave a really huge storage in your phone so you can get that. All right, and that brings us to the end of today's Takeaway Chinese.
For more episodes of the show, you can visit our website at radio.cgtn.com and go to the column Podcast.
You can also listen to the show and read the script there. Find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, including Apple, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and much more. Just search for Takeaway Chinese. And don't forget to leave your comments, ratings, and questions.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.
再见。